welcome to the channel. Thank you everybody for tuning in to Just for the Modders, the new channel from my watch review channel, The Watcher. If it's your first time joining me, please hit the subscribe button and leave the link. I'll leave a link in the description for my other YouTube channel, which is for the watch reviews. Please also check that channel out and subscribe. Today's video is going to be episode 4, removing bezels. Now we're going to look at how to pop bezels off, how to clean them, how to restore them basically. So I have in front of me two watches here that I've recently purchased. I've got myself a SKX 13. It's pretty worn. Looking at the numbers and the person I bought it off, it is around 20 years old. So this watch, we're going to follow this watch on a few episodes because my plan is to do a few things to this. And also my plan is, depending on where my mods take me, then my plans will develop. So I've got a Monster Gen 1 as well, bought from eBay quite recently. Okay, so for the SKX 13, my plan is I want to look at a few things before I fully decide. Now, I have checked the movement out today. The movement is a 7S26, so I wanted to change the movement to the NH36. Now, that's quite a advanced mod. I have recently completed one. All okay, no problems, thankfully. So, but my problem is now, one, I like stock mods and I like, you know, restoring watches back to original. So I'm not going to go all out with this watch just yet. I initially wanted to see how the movement fares. So the movement is pretty good. I think it's, I checked it in the morning, it's still giving me within less than 5 seconds a day. Well, first day really. So the movement's holding up fine at the moment. So I don't really want to change the movement, because if I do replace it with NH36, I will be left with a redundant part basically. The 7S26 movements, unless I'm swapping like for like, I can't really do anything with that movement. What it does need, it needs a new crown and stem because the crown's lost a few threads. Now, what it also does need, it needs a bezel insert replacement. It needs a possibly dial replacement because the dial is quite faded. I'm not too sure yet. See how this antique vintage look. See how it goes. The crystal is okay, but it's been buffed, so you can still see pitting in the actual mineral crystal, so that will be getting changed, and the bezel will be getting replaced. So it's okay, but till it gets here, it just gets stuck. I really want to open it, see what that's all about. I'll take the case back off as well, give it a good clean just to see how it is inside. Same situation for the Monster, pretty beat up. Let's see what we can do, how we can improve it. As we go on through the videos, I'll also link where I'm getting the parts from, and I do have some really good tips for you guys out there. So this one, you can just hardly any noise to that bezel. This one here, yeah, seems a bit awful, you know. So this bezel does definitely need looking into, and let's see what we find. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. First, let's take off the straps. Strap removal tool, just in it goes. Just take it off. If you haven't done this before, what you're trying to hit is, okay, let's get you here. Let the tools do the work. So see these ridges here, there. You just want to insert the fork end just before that ridge and pull inwards, because that's spring loaded. So that's off. Okay, we want to pop the bezel. Let's just have a quick look inside, see what is going on. Use one of your tools here, case back remover. It's a good idea to use, if you're not sure, it's your first time, use a bit of electrical tape. Just apply that to the two holes, and that should help protect the case back. But let's do things properly, right? Let's use the movement holder, or the case holder. Make sure that's in nice and tight. And when you remove it, just make sure these prongs are in properly, and keep it flat, press down and just turn. So that's come off pretty easily. And then you can, once you get it off of it, you can just use the ball here to help you get the rest of it off. I would normally use finger cuts, but I'm not looking to touch anything inside. I just really want to gauge what's going on. So there's a bit of grime underneath. You can give that a good clean. And let's really take a look at what is going on here. So we have the 7S26A movement. This has been opened before, which I'd probably expect. Where I know that there's a scratch just there. So, okay. Looks okay. The gasket looks good as well. Overall, not bad. Not bad. I think this movement, thing is, I've never saved the watch, and that is quite expert level. You've got to really take the watch apart. But with these movements, the Seiko movements, I've had a 20-year-old Seiko Monster Gen 1 in orange. That was a watch that was over 20 years old. However, I don't know if it was serviced. There was no service history, but that watch worked and it was accurate to within 5 or was it 3 seconds a day. So that's why I do love the Seiko movements. Okay, so we are removing the bezel. Couple of things here. So I've put some tape on the end and just to protect the case from any further damage. You can also use one of these, and if you were to use one of them, what I would say is use a bit of tape here and just apply it to the case. Bezels vary. The SKX bezel is probably one of the easiest ones to pop off. Usually they've already been taken off a couple of times before. The Monster bezels are okay. So you want to just stick it over the case, get a good grip, and just apply some pressure in just where the bottom of the bracelet is. You can see it's just started to lift, and use your thumb just to press and just move around, pry. And you hear a pop, so you will have to use a bit of strength, just trying to be still with it and press in one direction. You don't want it slipping. So once that's off, just turn it. Now that should be pretty easy to get off. There we go. Now that's come off. You can see it's a bunch of dirt, bunch of grime. Good news is though, the actual gasket looks perfect. Now some people might want to replace it just out of caution, but I live by the saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. With these things, so I'm just trying to get some focus on here. You will be able to see if it's worn or if it's broken or if there's a tearing. And what we will do, apply some silicone grease to that, and that will work just perfect. So what was the problem? Why was it getting stuck? I'd say it was just down to the level of dirt, level of grime. And so what we're going to do is give it a quick clean. So that's clean. Let's do the underside of the bezel. Now I will be looking to replace the bezel insert at some point. So we will be taking this off again, and I'll show you how we do that. Now you can do the bezel insert change once you take this off. Now I believe I have found out why it was getting stuck, where it was getting stuck. PM. I believe there's a slight bit of damage on the back just here. Okay, we've cleaned that, so let's file it. So that's another tool that you will need. And now these are just tools that you don't usually need, just occasionally. So got myself a set of diamond files here. Let's have a look at which one. Let's go for this one here. And what you want to do is, wherever the edge is, I'll just try and take that edge off. So the edge has come off now. Hopefully that shouldn't get caught. That being done, we're just going to apply a bit of silicone grease on the inside. Let's get your grease. Now ideally you need a toothpick to do this, because I think wood will hold on to the grease a bit better, but we can make do with the end of our spring bar removal tool. Just pick up the grease slightly. You can, if you want to, take it out of the bezel insert, but because it's been here for a while, I don't really want to unseat it. I have found is if you do unseat it and you start stretching it and just pulling it out, it will stretch it slightly. Now once you've done that, let's go back to the actual bezel click spring. So now we are ready to apply this back on to the watch. Literally the way you want to do it, just place it on. It's not a problem anyway. So you need to use your crystal press for this. That actually also works with the bezels. Now you want to get the right size, because it's the XKX13, it's going to be pretty small. Get the right size die. So to make sure you get the right size, just check it with your watch, and you want this die to hit as close to the edges as possible. So like there will be okay. Press down, click, click. Bob's your uncle. Wow, check that out, guys. So if you remember how it was before, that is absolutely spot on and perfect. Very impressed with that. Now I do this with any watch where I think the bezel is just not sitting right. I'll do that process to it, and most of the time it's okay, or I discover that it needs a bezel, it needs an O-ring, it needs a gasket, whatever. Let's do that to the monster. Drilled, lug ends, take that off. Okay, easy does it. Now I'm not going to open that, we're just going to go straight into removing the bezel. Now the bezel's kind of scratched up, it's not too bad, but it is a bit. So I was trying to keep an eye on eBay for a bezel insert, for a bezel, but unfortunately I missed out on one. My notifications were not working on eBay, so I am pretty bummed out about that. Let's try this tool now with the monsters. Just in you go. Just try and find a little gap. Just use something else. The monster bezels aren't too bad. It's quite thick. There we go. Let's pop that off. Now let's have a look. Click spring seems okay. Absolutely fine actually. And let's have a look here. Just usual, a bit grimy. Thankfully though, the bezel gasket O-ring looks perfect as well. It just looks a bit dry, so that could definitely do with some grease. Now the thing is, this just needs a bit of a clean as well. Now I have seen some people, what they actually do, I've seen them grease the tops of the click spring. Don't know, I don't think you need to be honest. Okay, let's do the same thing with the back of the bezel. Get into the grooves there, and also inside of the bezel. Okay, same thing as we did before. Silicone grease, just apply it, because this gasket is a bit dry. So once that goes on, it will help prevent any cracking. Do inspect these. If you do need to get a bezel gasket, it's hard to get sizes. It is difficult to get the spec sizes. So what I suggest is use forums. Facebook does have really good modding groups, and then even on Google, just do a search, and you'll find what's best. eBay, like I said, eBay is the go-to point. There are a couple of known sellers for gaskets which aren't too pricey. So we're ready for the monster. Pretty quick job on this one. Give it a clean. Let's see how this fares. Hopefully it will be like the SKX. So we need just a bigger die. That seems perfect. Place it down. Okay, there we go. We've got the click. Let's see how this goes. Not the best. It's not as tight. But it's a little bit better than it was before. There's no back play in it. Look at that. So that's done. I'm going to clean this up, and for next time with both these watches, they both need crystal replacements. So what we are going to do is I'm going to look at getting a new mineral crystal for this. I'm not going to go sapphire, and then a mineral crystal for the SKX flat. I might look at domed. Let's see what possibilities we have, but I will show you on the next video a really good link that I use on eBay. All mineral crystals, and they're great for refurbishing watches. Obviously with the sapphires, you know, you can get them from the popular mod watch websites, but we're going to use this link. Very economical, cheap, and I've used them on my older watches as well, and that will be the next episode, which will be replacing crystals. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.